Hey, what's up? It's Hattie D. Today we're going to be doing a bit of analysis on the song Moving by Kate Bush. Moving is the first song off the first album that Kate ever put out, 1978's The Kick Inside, which also contains the hit single Wuthering Heights. When I started listening to Kate Bush in my 20s, I first heard Wuthering Heights, which was the strangest pop song I'd ever heard, and I just dove into her discography from the beginning. I thought The Kick Inside was such a fun record. It was so full of life and personality with some strange, weird turns that always caught my ear. A really remarkable debut. Eventually, I had my mind completely blown by The Dreaming, and then, of course, Hounds of Love is a whole other experience altogether. But this song's always remained really special to me and one of my favorites. So I'm excited to share with you today the things that I think are interesting. Moving is dedicated to Lindsay Kemp, who was Kate's mime teacher in the mid-70s. A musical ode to his impact as a mentor to Kate, helping to unleash her freedom of expression in movement. The song opens with whale sounds. Do we have any whales? I don't have a picture of a whale, but use your imagination. And the piano part I'll be playing for the full playthrough is a reduction of bass, keys, and vocals, all kind of squashed together, and it'll be in the description as a PDF if you want it. Enjoy and let me know what you think, people of the world. So we're in the key of D minor with one flat on B, and starting on the one chord D minor, we walk down to C, B flat, F major, which is the relative major of D minor, and here at the E major there's an indication that we've modulated from the key, so we'll follow through for more context. After E we have a D add 9 subbing in for D minor, resting on A minor, the dominant key, which it appears we're borrowing from. With the foresight that we're tonicizing A minor, and thinking in that key for a moment, we could call E the 5 chord, D minor the 4 chord, forming a minor plagal cadence when it links to 1, A minor. This E chord, however, is the one really doing the heavy lifting in establishing A minor as the tonicized key, containing B natural, the second degree of the A minor scale, and G sharp, the leading tone, neither of which habituate the D minor scale. The practice of modulating to the dominant key harkens back to sonata form, which will be familiar to those with classical music background. To read more on sonata and Sonata-allegro form, you should check out this page by Caitlin Bove, which has some really great visuals and memes to get you through it. Here in Mozart's Rondo a la Turk, for example, he starts in A minor and modulates to E minor, the dominant key, at the end of the first theme. It's a cool device because when you get back into the familiar material of the second line, it forms the illusion that you're going somewhere new, since we've been disoriented from the original key. And this little riff helps pull us there, with the bass walking down from A to G to F to pull us back down to D minor for the second line. The second line plays no tricks on us, going from 1 D minor to C to B flat to F in a long 5 chord resolving on our tonic D minor, which the bass first puts over F, then falls back to root position. Kate's vocal has a lot of exciting and nimble octave leaps. Here it is with block chords. On the D minor over F, the vocal suspends to E, the ninth, before landing on D, the tonic, as the bass walks down to root position. These little slidey licks on the piano part are called Kramer fills, named for a guy, Floyd Kramer, who used them a lot in his country piano instrumentals in the 50s and 60s. They're fun and useful in a variety of styles. Basically, you hammer with your 2 and 5 fingers on the 2nd and 5th of the chord you're playing, and slide 2 up to 3. You can also roll them back down. Fun! This chorus section is 7 bars and then goes into what we call the post-chorus. It mostly stays in D minor, with some basic modal interchanges, mainly being the presence of both major and minor qualities on the 5 and 4 chords. So the chorus starts D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, G minor, F, A major. Second line, D minor, A minor, C, G major, and G minor. The first 2 melodic lines of the chorus are harmonized by a second voice, and the harmony is peculiar in that it alternates being under the main vocal melody and above it. What I hear as the melody is this part. Which is confirmed by the live versions of Moving from 1978 and 1979 that I'll be referencing for this video. Kate is singing this part in her lead vocal. The first line, How I'm Moved, is harmonized with parallel fourths below the melody. The second line, How You Move Me, is harmonized in a combination of thirds and fourths above the melody, using a D minor scale with no sixth, which you could also think of as the 6-note scale made from the triad pair of D minor and C major. Also, on the A minor chord, the vocal happens to be resting on the D minor chord tones of D and F. So, like, a nerd would call this A minor with an added 11th and 6th, but we'll just say that it's being faithful to the tonic, because we're not nerds. The harmony part to both lines by itself sounds like this. Get ready, you altos, here's your part. First reading bottom staff, then top. Got it? Alright, let's bring Kate's part back in and try it together. Nice work, that was perfect. On the next phrase, With Your Beauty, It's Potency, Kate does a little vocal melisma on the E syllable of potency, the second to last note of which creates a little bluesy ambiguity against the last chord, A major. In the album version, my impression is that the band is playing an A major chord here, with the tones A, C sharp, and E, and the vocal bends up to a C natural, the minor third of A, on that second to last note of this melisma, which is what I've incorporated into my reduction here. And now I'm tempted to get jazzy and play it as an A7 sharp 9. You know, the chord Jimi Hendrix invented. And I might even throw in some of these other altered dominant tones in perfect fourths over that. Kate would fire me on the spot. But I just wasn't positive about the potency slurred vocal note. whether it should be a C or a C sharp to match the A major chord in my reduction. So I investigated all the live recordings I could find from this period to get a little insight. The data appeared at first to be random binary, with the note sometimes being C and sometimes being C sharp, until I made closer observation of the date of each video and I noticed a pattern. 1978, C natural. 1979, C sharp. In her 1978 performances, the potent C, melisma, is more bent and slurred up to the note, which would make sense why she lands flat. Whereas on tour in 1979, it's more precise in technique and produces a clear, pristine C sharp in most cases. It appears she's giving another burst of air from the diaphragm for each 16th note instead of slurring them all together in the same breath. It could be that she was seeing a vocal coach to get in shape and keep vocal health for her 1979 tour, which would make a lot of sense, but it also could have just been a change in taste. Either way, she ever so slightly changed how she was singing it. Check it out for yourself. I know I'm overthinking this. She was probably just going for C sharp and being a little loose and bendy and just missed it sometimes. By the way, you ever heard of the blues? But I'm stuck inside this piano here with only 12 tones and I need to decide, are you C or C sharp? Major or minor? Pick a side. In our post-chorus, the chords are D minor, C sharp fully diminished 7 over G, D minor over A, C sharp fully diminished 7 over G, C sharp major, A, C sharp, and back to our tonic, D add 9 or D minor. This sort of change to the C sharp major was a favorite move of mine in high school when I started writing my own music, and I threw it into almost everything. Sort of an otherworldly, cinematic kind of sound when you move from a minor chord to a major chord a half step below it. You share that common tone being the third of each chord. And also this chromatic mediant movement from that C sharp down to A major, a major chord moving to another major chord, a major third down, is very cool. And by this point we don't really know where home is anymore. But if we wanted to act like a bunch of annoying nerds, we could say that the occurrence of C sharp major, aka D flat, is modal mixture, borrowed from the key of F minor. It would be the sixth chord. F minor, which is the parallel minor of F major, the relative key to D minor. And A is just our 5 chord again, which would have been a much easier chord to link us back into D minor for the second verse. However, Kate passes on the easy route in favor of the weird one. As if stepping through a portal, we just kind of arrive at D minor with a slight push up. It reminds me of another cinematic, chromatic lift Kate would employ later in her career. In the post-chorus, there's also this cool bass riff high up on the neck, which creates some of those nice inversions. Another thing I always thought was cool is that the transition into saxophone song, which I actually don't know how to play, is very fluid because they're both in D minor and they just kind of flow into one another. A really exciting way to start an album and give it a lot of momentum from the get-go. So now that you have all that information, I'll play for you the whole reduction and you can listen for all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Hope it was fun.